Hello, Mr. Wilson. I'm just having a look at your website in its preliminary stage before the end of the film project so that I can give you some feedback way before it's due in. That way you can listen to the feedback, have a watch, make changes to it based on what I say, and that way the project is going to be the best it can possibly be, and you can think about the ways in which you have done well moving into the final project. Okay, because we've only got this project, we've got a games project, and then it's the final project. Okay, so you've got all to play for. With that in mind, the project was basically all reliant on the way in which these video journals were covered, because we're covering the largest amount of learning outcomes we've ever covered. Okay, but they are very similar to each other. It's visual production and audio production are together. Okay, and it's dependent on the way in which you go about your work, your journals, so that we can cover certain learning outcomes. So for journals, it should be journals throughout the project. It should be continuous, as I've written. Okay, so during task 1, during task 2, when you're planning your film, during task 3, when you're actually producing your film, so on and so forth, there should be journal entries. Okay, and this covers 1.1, 1.2 of both. Okay, so use a range of skills to inform and develop ideas for creative production. Assess the effectiveness of technology skills in solving a visual production problem. That's what you're doing. And so it's my goal to assess your work to see how you're getting on with that. Okay, any sort of screening that we do that you comment on, that's going as towards your contextual research. Okay, so at this point in time, I'm not like disappointed generally about the work that you've been able to produce, but it's not necessarily, you're not really excelling at this point in time. It's sort of, it's middling if anything. Okay, so I'll just illustrate this. Hey, my name's Jeff. This is a video that you produced. Okay. Okay, so I've seen it plenty of times to serve you. All right, and you were able to produce a journal to go with that as well. Let's have a listen to that.
What do you think, man? I'm good, man. I'm here with Sam.
So this is the bit we've just walked in. This is back shoulder of Toothic facing
over the shoulder shot.
To me and Fahim. I like that.
So if you can't remember, by the way, that's you talking in the background. Bring it down a bit.
Okay.
By looking at his eyes, you can see who's talking to you. Carrying on.
And then if you pause that back, that's actually Toothic looking back. Give it the feel.
Just
conversation.
Right here. What Toothic just did, he did watch on YouTube. That's that. This is sub acting. This was I just.
Okay, all right. So just bear in mind that the point of making the journals is to first of all, you know, evidence to use a range of skills to inform and develop ideas for creative production. Okay, it's evidence of that. It's also evidence of assessing the effectiveness of technology skills in solving a visual or audio production problem. Okay, are you saying that this is your best effort in assessing the effectiveness of technology skills in solving a visual production problem? Okay, it's quite clear that that's what it covers. All right, and I made great aims to explain to you guys how these learning outcomes link to the tasks. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm looking at this, the work that you've done shared with Fahim. So your longest, well, not necessarily your longest, it's fairly long, journal entry. I don't necessarily think you are actually focusing on the aspects of video and audio production techniques. You're more just talking about what you did, like hand gestures, and so you're talking about Toothic's hand gestures as well. You know, there's a little bit back here, if we did listen, where you were talking about video techniques. You were looking at different shot types, so you said I corrected you, so over the shoulder instead of back of shoulder, so on and so forth. But there's not a lot, okay, from what I can see. Okay, this one. Let's jump straight in.
The whole point of this video is me trying to find out who banged my mum.
Talking about story.
See that? My beard's quite good in this shot. This is a
Very
shoulder
relevant.
shot.
Okay.
Gives you the feel.
Over shoulder, great.
At this point, he actually said no. He said no in a scared way.
Okay.
This shot is an aerial shot.
Okay. When you're talking about shots, it's a very basic, but it's fine. But it's very, it's a way to talk about video production techniques. Okay. There is also audio production techniques as well. You should be going a little bit more in depth. You've got a list of things that you should essentially be looking at for talking about. And at this point in time, I've only witnessed you able to talk about this. Look at everything else that in some way that you're meant to be looking at. Okay. At least these. Additional dialogue recording, adding a film score, using proper recording equipment, motion graphics, creating camera movement. Is there any way in which you could add this information in? Okay, I'll give you some examples. If we look at the film, this is using an awful lot of motion graphics and things like that. If you were to create contextual research based on that in a video journal, you would be able to go to town with that. Yeah. Your brick analysis, very, very short. It's not good enough, not at all. What have you been doing with your time?
Different elements of effects and transitions. We watched the first part of the movie, and
you should have the movie up. We should be actually able to see the movie so that any sort of transitions or anything that you're looking at, you can specifically cover. Okay, you're at the age now where you should be able to communicate your thoughts easily. And essentially, what's the word? Consume media and be able to critically comment on it. Okay, and at this stage, I'm not necessarily seeing that from you. So your journals is a great way for you to be able to do that. For example, I have been talking for how long? I've been critically commenting on your work. Okay, but I've been doing it with the purpose to essentially assess something, haven't I? That's what I'm asking you to do, okay? I don't necessarily feel like you have been able to do that. So you're able to do some journals, very good, but make sure that you are focused on what the purpose of doing these journals are, okay? All right then, other than that, I'm glad that your script was chosen because, to be honest with you, it is quite good, even though you did start it a little bit late and were a little bit unsure that it was any good. It is good, and essentially another journal you could produce is actually responding to the script and actually talking about the fact that you looked at Avatar as part of your contextual research. I wouldn't be able to assess that unless you actually communicate that, okay? So let's have a look at your proposal. Proposal's not done, Sam. Shocking, shocking. You need to sort this out, okay? Don't give me empty gaps, okay? That's a real big shame because we chose your script. I wasn't aware that you hadn't actually done this. So sort it out, okay? Anyway, I'm going to leave it at there. It's a shame. So make the changes that I've asked you, okay? If you want quick feedback without having to look at this again, just ask me directly what you can do. But at this point in time, the main focus is more journals, more focused on audio and video production techniques, okay? And then as long as you've got those things, you're going to be golden. And your final project, whatever it is, needs to have that level of focus.